revitalize in November. That's what they had up on the board. How in the world?
So we have a few more people striving in, so I just want to get started respecting everybody's time. Welcome. My name is Brenda Wisneski. I'm the Deputy Director of Community Development for the city. And this is our first workshop for the Mariners Mile Revitalization Plan. So the purpose of tonight is to engage all of you, and it's so exciting that we have a great turnout. So I just want to get a show of hands of how many of you are residents in town? And how many of you are business owners or property owners in Mariners Mile? Okay, great. So the reason why we're here is the City Council had identified Mariners Mile as an area that had great opportunities and weren't being very well utilized. So how can we help facilitate revitalization of the area? So we're starting with our general plan and our development standards. We'll talk about what kind of uses can go here, how big they can be. So what can we do to make things more available for opportunities here? And also some of you might know that about a year or so ago we did a charrette. We had an outside entity come in and he provided some very outside the box ideas. So we're going to be utilizing those tools and getting some fresh ideas from the community. And we've also brought in PlaceWorks, who's with us tonight, a firm that is very familiar with the city. They can go way back to formation of our 2006 general plan. So we have brought them on to help us facilitate this. And so tonight we're going to have Woodie talk to you about what the start of the program is going to be and how you continue to be involved in this process, which I think is going to be probably about a 6 to 8 month process. So with that, I'll turn it over to Woodie.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Well, first, welcome to everybody. I don't think any of us had the idea that we get this great crowd here tonight, so it shows, yes, it very clearly shows the interest. And also, I think one of the important things to stress as well, I go back to the 2006 general plan. We talked a lot about Mariners Mile, but it was what I would characterize as 30,000-foot elevation, looking at the area and setting forth general kinds of directions. And that actually was preceded in 2000 by the strategic vision plan for the area. Let me just get a handle on what. Okay. I'm not being recorded, actually. How many of you were around for the 2006, not 2006, but the 2000 strategic plan and involved? I think that's thank you. So we have background music, which was not part of our program here tonight, but it is soothing as well. So great number. How many of you are involved in the 2006 general plan process? Sure. Okay, about an equal or slightly larger number. Well, welcome back. Because I think one of the keys that we're going to be emphasizing as a part of this effort is not only the vision, the big ideas, but that roadmap of actions on how one makes it real at the end. So rather than just being another paper document, but something that indeed is really transformative, evolutionary, etc., that achieves the vision. So we're focusing really on the nuts and bolts of how to make something happen for the area as well. So when this was started and the city asked consultants to respond to what's called request for proposals that sets forth the work program for this, there were a number of key objectives. Just want to summarize these that are up here on the screen. Obviously, is your involvement throughout, from the very beginning to the very end of the process, because any project or any effort we plan that's going to be implemented is really built upon the ownership and the sustainability of people like you who are the community as set. But as Brenda said, we're starting from some roots that have already been planted, vis-a-vis the existing strategic plan and the general plan, etc. So we want to go back and we will, in our next few months, be confirming were the ideas in those planning documents good ideas? Do they really conform to where we are today in 2016 about the nature of the place, etc., about the kinds of land uses that might be permitted in the area, what might be the priorities in terms of the land uses, what about the kind of development standards. When we say development standards, what that really means ultimately is how much square footage of development might be achieved, how big buildings might be, if there's housing, how many housing units could be. That's really the quantification of a land use diagram as well. We've also been asked to explore and talk to you in the community, not so much tonight, but in a future meeting, about the plan right now has designations for a certain amount of uses on the harbor side of Coast Highway, and then also some numbers about what could occur on the inland side of the properties, etc. And so there's a terminology that's actually a part of the existing general plan that actually creates a policy that says to reduce indeed impacts potentially or maintain objectives such as the character of what happens in the harbor, you might be able to move some of the development capacity from one side to the other side of the highway. So we want to talk to you about whether that makes sense, whether that's doable, and what the implications of that might be in the process as well. We also want you to explore with us what are the specific properties that might change over a period of time, which ones stay the same, should stay the same over time. We also recognize it's more than just use, but it's also about the pedestrian character, the walkability of the kind of place, the place that makes it an enjoyable places to maybe walk out of your house at night, walk to the waterfront, walk along the waterfront, etc., and what those amenities might be. And then obviously one of the key issues for anything in this area is parking. We know the issues of parking today, so what are the approaches to address parking in the future as well within this area? So this is, I'm not going to read all this in detail. I probably could do this by memory in my sleep of what the vision was. That really, again, encapsulated, it was documented in 206 in the general plan, but also reflected in the strategic plan that was developed in the year 2000. One is the notion that, again, we have portions of this area that are very much automobile oriented. You have very shallow parcels, particularly on the east end, the south end, depending upon which compass you have, or the highway signs. But on the east end, which are very narrow, very shallow parcels, and some extent on the westerly end. And then we have other areas, and we move further to the west, that have some depths. Riverside, Tustin, etc. kind of area, Avon area, etc. There are some areas that have some depth. And back in 06 and in the vision plan, the notion was to indeed maybe transform what is primarily, particularly that area of greater depth parcels, what today is primarily kind of auto-oriented kinds of destinations, to create, this is really, excuse me for using the term, it's an overused term, but a more village-like environment. Someplace you could go park, get out of your car, walk among various places, public spaces and amenities, plazas, etc., that might be grouped around some kind of public amenities within that inland area, which is, you see the word up here, vision, etc., for the inland parcels. Pedestrian orientation, very important as a part of that. And it also re-emphasized the fact that on this side of the highway, there is the uniqueness of marine-related uses. Indeed, the plan that was developed, and the general plan, and the zoning ordinances basically made an emphasis about trying to attract and maintain marine-related uses among other possibilities with this area. So that's our starting point in terms of uses. We're going to talk over the next few months about this as well. And this is just a diagram. I'm not going to show this in detail, but I think this is a representation. The red areas on the map are those areas of the more shallow parcels. I think they look like long, skinny tubes, particularly to the east end. And the lighter or pinkish kind of color, if you will, are the areas in which the plan in 06 basically called out for this village-like environment and marine-related uses, etc. There might, in some locations, have the possibilities for some capacity for additional housing development in addition to commercial marine-related uses. So those are our starting points. Also, very importantly, where the city has been looking at the future of Coast Highway. So Dave, as a start.
Hi, my name is Dave Webb, and I'm the Public Works Director at the city. And before we get into the planning study, we want to talk a little bit about the transportation elements of this area. We have a very important vital link that goes through it that we're going with. Pacific Coast Highway goes right through the middle of the planning area. And so we wanted to take a look at that and kind of nail some of the parameters down on that before we get too much into land use. So what staff's been doing in the past, this is probably, besides this and Chronomar, the two most complained about areas in our city from transportation, circulation. We have a lot of residents throughout the city that travel through here and talk about the congestion there. So we've got residents wanting relief in this area. We also did a bicycle master plan not too far back and pulled the bike list, went through the council subcommittee on that. And one of the areas that came out of that was they want bike lanes through here. This is a very heavily traveled bike area. A lot of commuters go through here, a lot of people that recreate, and then you also have the guys in the speedos that are going through real quick. And also, we get people coming up and down the coast because Coast Highway, if you don't know, is a state bike route. It's actually designated as a state coast bicycle route. So we get people up and down, coming from San Diego, moving up and down. So that's one concern. If the parking on the street makes it real challenging, some of the narrowness. And then we got into also the Mariners Mile folks, the businesses here wanted revitalization. So you've got three things coming together in that and start looking at. Just push forward. Yeah, yes. So to frame this up, we've been looking at this highway for a long time. The general plan currently right now says this should be a 6-lane facility. It's been in the general plan for some time. Actually, if you get into the design guidelines of highways, it should be an 8-lane facility. It's got that much traffic on it. But long ago, the council said, no, we're going to keep it at 6 lanes. So right now, it's in our general plan as 6 lanes. We went through just recently with the Orange County Transportation Authority and got together with all the cities from Steel Beach all the way down to San Clemente to look at Coast Highway as how it functions as a whole. Because Coast Highway is actually, it's not just local traffic, it's regional traffic, commuter traffic, because it connects and it parallels the 405 freeway. So you get a lot of different traffic going through here. They did a whole study, and I'm not going to go through it, but there's a study online, it's going to their board right now. It talks about suggested changes to help circulation, safety, aesthetics. We want to make sure that's in there so that the highway functions better for all. And also bicycles are in there, other processes. Out of that, we came back to council then and said, well, we've got a circulation element we need to look at here, and we need to verify the 6 lanes the right type for this. So council had us look at basically 5 configurations. The configuration you have out there today, which is 4 and 5 lanes, and then what we call the full master plan of arterial highways. That's what MPH stands for. And there's a standard width of at least 128 feet would be a standard width of a 6-lane facility. And then we looked at a 5- and 6-lane hybrid. Can we do something like that to make the service levels? We looked at the minimum MPH configuration. What's the smallest we can make that? And then we also looked at an alternative off that. And this was all done in a council study session, culminated on the 26th of May. We took this through council. We had been talking for years on it. We had a whole presentation on that. What we found in this is just what we assumed, and not assumed, but we knew. On a 5-lane configuration, these are what, real quick on numbers, because there's a lot of numbers here. Average daily traffic, level of service. So how much traffic runs through here on an average day, what a level of service is, that has to do with the service of the road between A and F. F being failure with gridlock, and A being very free flowing. Our numbers showed a 5-lane facility, which is 5 lanes out of here. We're currently at an E, and with the traffic projected, and that's when the full development hits, you're going to be in the F range. If we go to a 6-lane facility, we're in the D range today, and if you get to the full build-out, we're still in an F, again, but we'll deal with that in a minute. And then we look down here on the, this is 2 segments, by the way, from Newport over to Tustin, and then from Tustin back, because they operate a little differently. There's signals down here, school traffic, a little more traffic on that side. When you get down towards the Tustin side, you have a little less traffic. The ET goes down to 44,000 now and 53 in the future. But we still get those levels of service with 4 or 5 lanes, and 6 lanes gives us a C and an E. So we actually can probably work with that. So going through that with council, made the recommendations to confirm that we want to keep it with a 6-lane facility, but we want to work to remove on-street parking. And I know that's a concern, and we haven't figured that out yet, but in order to get bike lanes on the road, you're going to have to take the parking off in order to get this to the full 6 lanes in some areas. We want to undertake this study today to figure out how do we mitigate that. Some of the things we're going to talk today, we understand when you put that street from, right now the right-of-way is either 100 to 112 feet. Council said keep it at 112 feet. We understand some properties are going to have to dedicate some right-of-way over time. A lot of properties have already dedicated right-of-way over time. And when we make that configuration change, we have some impacts to land use. That's the other part of the study. How can we mitigate that? How do we do on-site parking? How do we do maybe some offsets on some land use to mitigate some of the effects of the roadway? So we also have to work with Caltrans on that, because it is a state highway, they own the highway. But again, we're going to work with them to try to keep it in a 112 footprint with 6 lanes. That's kind of what came out of the council's study session, reaffirming that. And it's a lot of detail. I'm sorry, I'm going quick because I was told I had 4 minutes and I could probably speak for 35. But here's the 2 configurations. Basically, if we look at a 6-lane facility in 112 feet, this is what it would look like in the future with bike lanes and 6 lanes. We still want to keep a turning movement in the middle, although we have a lot of requests for landscaping on this highway. People want to beautify it, which I think is great. The problem is you got that big left turn lane in the middle because of all the driveways. We might need that to be open for turning. There are some options to do landscaping. I think there are some things we can look at in the future to help beautify the highway, maybe on the sides too. And then there's one other configuration that in case we want to go with a 14 versus 12-foot center median, we have to look at that. And you probably end up with a little less sidewalk on one side. This is the sidewalk on the inland side, a little bigger than the sidewalk on the bay side. So real quick, go ahead. Over there. I can have questions later.
So very quickly, again, we're going to include our talking up here because most of the evening we want you to hear from you and your input as well. But let us walk you a little bit through the process of where we are, et cetera, shown on this diagram, et cetera. Our first phase that we're actually into July, phase 1 and phase 2 is really getting the project started. The team, the various consultants, not just the planners, but we have streetscape urban designers, we have a team of economists, transportation, parking, bicycling people, all out there today. And I characterize this as flying over Mariners Mile, taking a photograph, and describing to everybody what you see in your photographs. It's really documenting what is there today, what the issues are, what the problems are, what the potential opportunities are within the area as well. And that's really running through to almost the end of July, so we're really almost ready to sort of wrap up that process, and we'll be within the next week or so as well. And then through the middle or the latter part of summer, actually up to October, et cetera, is really going to be getting into the trenches. In the trenches with you, the public workshop will be our next public workshop. We really explore the ideas. Again, let's look at those uses again. Let's look at the development standards again. Let's look at the streetscape, pedestrian amenities, and the parking. All those things I mentioned earlier in terms of the project objectives. And we'll be exploring those with you again from basically starting next month into towards the end of September, etc. After that, we actually will, in the month of October, formally prepare this what's called the master plan document, which will be the document submitted to the commission, to the city council for their review, for their opportunity to hear from you about what you like, what you may have concerns about that plan, and to work through refinement to, by the end of the year, or almost the end of the year, get to the adoption. So this is a fairly fast-track process, etc. Hopefully it also, beyond being fast-track, provides us some degree of momentum that we'll be able to have conversations in a very interactive way, back and forth, again, as we move forward through the process, etc. You can't really see on the screen, but you'll see that at each one of these phases, indeed the intent was to engage you in these kinds of meetings and have discussions, get your feedback, and as you have had here described in a moment, the reason we've got you around tables is really to listen from you a little bit tonight. So I would like to introduce one of my colleagues from PlaceWorks, Brenda, who is the project manager on behalf of our team to lead us through the next part of the evening. But he's going to be quiet after a few minutes and really listen to you. So let's move forward.
I want to first just echo what Brenda said. Thank you all for coming tonight. Such a beautiful evening, I suppose. There's patios to be sat on and barbecues to be had. So thank you very much for coming here and sharing your thoughts with us. We recognize and really appreciate that. So thank you for participating in this effort. It makes our jobs a lot easier. We really appreciate that. And we're looking forward to hearing from all of you tonight. I'm going to give everyone a chance to run to the door.
Louder.
Okay. I'm going to give everybody a chance to run to the door. We're about to have a pop quiz, so if you want to leave now. Everyone's still on board? Okay, that's it. And we're in it together from here on out. So, just to get things started, before we really start talking to each other, we just want to have a little bit of fun and see how well we all know this area. So, question number 1. We've seen numerous spellings of this area here, Mariners Mile. So, A, B, or C, does anyone know the correct official spelling from the city's general plan of Mariners Mile?
C.
Okay, she's the spokesperson right here.
The flyer says,
Wait.
the flyer you sent out says.
Okay, Miss Allie? Okay, what is the...
I think it's deep, but I don't know.
It's B.
There you go. 1 for 1. All right. Okay, so what is the... Yeah, there's a cookie for the winner. There was a full platter, but people got... So, question number 2. What is the length of Coast Highway through Mariners Mile?
B.
A? B? I heard Kurt say A, so we're going to go with A. Another winner. Smart group here. Okay, last but not least. What year was the Duffy boat invented? Right in those waters. Peter? What is it? Final answer? All right. So clearly you guys know the area. That's really exciting for us. It's going to help us learn more from you. We look forward to doing that tonight. Sorry, if you can't hear me, I'll yell. I'll try. This is about as loud as I can, so... Oh, sorry. Okay. So, what we want to do tonight, the main purpose of this reason is we want to walk through an exercise. So we have everybody in groups, and what we really want to know is what is Mariners Mile to you? If we know that the City Council back in 2011 designated the Mariners Mile corridor as an area of revitalization in the City of Newport, one of 6 that are designated as an area of revitalization. What are the issues, what are the opportunities and challenges to revitalization of this corridor? And it's the issue or the opportunities and challenges to you as an individual. What are the opportunities and challenges to revitalization in your opinion? That's what we want to know from you. So what we've done is we've given each table flip chart sheets that say opportunities across the top, another one that says challenges across the top, and another one that says dreams across the top. So the opportunities and challenges are thinking more about today and the near future. What should we be doing with the parcels that we have, the configuration of the streets, the land? What are those opportunities and challenges that we can address today and in this plan moving forward to create the revitalized Mariners Mile that you see? So there's a series of colored dots. Each one of those colored dots has a number on them. So what we'd like you to do is for the opportunities, use the green dots. For the challenges, use the red dots. And then thinking big picture, your ideal, aiming high, shooting for the stars, your dream for Mariners Mile. What are your dreams for Mariners Mile? Use the blue dots. So then, what will...
Can you please tell us what the existing general plan for Mariners Mile is? So we're all in
None of
accord?
us want to change.
What does the existing general
We
plan
don't need
say?
any more traffic, so we don't need any more lanes.
Okay, well, what is the
We
existing
don't
general
need any more
plan?
homes, because everybody should shake hands with their
I
neighbors.
think also when you speak of the roots that have been planted, we the community do not know what those roots are and what seeds you have planted in our community.
This is the official language, well, it's not the official language, it's longer than this. This is from excerpts from the actual adopted general plan. So what the general plan and the diagram I'll come back to in a moment is the map that accompanies the text. Basically, the existing plan sets in forth a narrative description about the future, which was based upon, and that was adopted in 2006. And that vision basically says, again, it needs to be a more vital area than it is today, which means it was interpreted to be more than just an automobile-oriented center. So it needs to, however, be a series of distinct centers. Let me just jump ahead. What that meant is you've got the almost 5 linear miles or so of highway, And it meant that there would be a variety of different kinds of, if you will, clusters of uses and developments in the area, different kinds of uses. And basically by having it, going back, so you have a long area. So basically said this area would have a characteristic, this area would have a characteristic more automobile oriented, obviously because how shallow it is, you can't create a lot of walkable depth in that area. This area would have the opportunity to create and cluster buildings in a way to make it more walkable. As I mentioned earlier, you can park once, get out of your car, go to a restaurant, go to a market, do different kinds of uses that might indeed have the opportunity to serve nearby residents. This side being a little bit different because of the adjacency to the harbor and being harbor-oriented as well. So it basically, back to the prior slide here, where it talks about distinct centers. And again, so the harbor frontage, it said in terms of what the uses are, there's a table in the existing general plan that says these are the permitted uses, and that is reflected in the city's zoning ordinance, which is the implementing tool for the general plan. And it says you can have a mix of visitor serving retail, marine-related uses with limited amounts of housing and mixed-use development. So basically, the mixed-use development terms, which you might have a parcel, and on it you might have a combination of a marine-related use and maybe a retail use like a restaurant whatsoever, and maybe some housing. It doesn't specify, it doesn't get down to exactly say where that's going to be. It just says it creates a category in which those kind of uses could be permitted based upon approval through the normal entitlement process that the city goes through as well.
But is there not height limits and view corridors required in those areas that we are not being told right now?
Yes, go ahead. There are. Again, they're basically on the inland parcels, so those parcels inland, it basically said this was an area for this pedestrian orientation character for the areas as well.
And what's the height limit there?
Let me get through it and I'll be happy to respond. So again, with the streetscape amenities, and if you see here, the enhanced view corridors. So if you read the policies of the plan, what you will see as direction, and I believe it's implemented zoning ordinance, that says what you will have are maintaining view corridors. So rather than having something like the Bay Club, the concern, what I'll refer to as the Chinese Wall, along the harbor, that any kind of development on the harbor side of the highway will be broken up in a way to maintain a certain amount of view sheds through from the highway that's obviously up over the hills. And yes, to answer your question about height limits, there is a height limit through the coastal plan within the area of 35 feet. So, any other questions about our running?
What's that older building?
Can we get together?
That one.
Okay, this little area where it says MU, the A and C, is that like a pedestrian bridge?
No. The MUs,
No, I'm saying that the little part that goes across.
that's a sub-area designated.
Right, here. Okay, right here.
Besides music, we get interactive
No,
visuals.
that's not a,
No, that's just a map.
okay, and is this where you mark it?
Yes. Yeah, other question, gentleman in the back.
Hi, how are you? With Banning Ranch going in, just up the street here, and you're gonna have this pedestrian-friendly type of thing, where are they gonna park? You're gonna have to build huge parking structures. I live here in the Heights, there is no parking.
That's
Okay, number one. And you'll have it pedestrian-friendly because cars won't be able to drive. It'll be like how Corona Del Mar is at rush hour. You know how terrible that is, don't you? Of course you do. Yeah, so the plan sounds nice, but I think all you're going to build is a bunch of condos. There's going to be a lot more traffic. And people don't walk around here. I mean, come on, they go to Balboa Island if they're going to walk around.
We have no sidewalks in the Heights. We're not going to be able to see the ocean anymore.
Let me, again, we want you to, issues that you're raising, again, there are, Brent used the term opportunities. There are a term called, its second term was challenges. Traffic is a challenge, or parking is a challenge. Write that down onto, we're not intending to resolve any of these issues here tonight. We're wanting to hear from you about what you perceive those strengths, what are the strengths, what the issues are, what you see the opportunities in the future. We're here sort of at the beginning of this process. What I've been reviewing with you today is exactly the starting point, what's on the books today in terms of policies, standards, and things like heights, and indeed what's in effect the history, if you will, to today. So we're here to take it the next step in terms of discussion, and the issues that you raise will indeed be the topics that we need to explore further as we move down that process that I mentioned that we're moving towards the future. So we're not here to do the plan tonight.
Could you show us where the two properties are that the two gentlemen bought that seem to be spurring on a lot of things?
I will be rough on
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
It's what used to be, it's what used to be the Ardell properties, which is roughly just that side of us, right here, which is where it must be no Ardell yacht properties. And then they had a large inland piece of property where I think the boats were probably stored or whatever over here. So it's this basically right there.
Okay, thank you.
That's your question.
Everyone's given us a really good start on this process. We appreciate all this. So keep that energy going. We want to translate that onto this actual exercise. So is anyone...
Let's go one more question. We got Shannon.
Yes, you referred to the water side, the height limitation is 35 feet. How about the other side?
They're both 35 feet.
Both sides?
Yes, both sides.
That's max.
That's the...
How high is the Bay Club?
The Bay Club's higher than 35 feet. Think of 35 feet being roughly 2 stories. No, that's roughly 2 stories with yeah, exactly. Bay Club is much, 4 or 5 stories, I believe, something like that. Anyway, let's get into the exercise because a lot of these things we want you to mark down.
Question. Define for everybody marine-related use.
Can someone from the city staff say what's an ordinance?
Yacht brokerages.
Well, yachts, yacht sales, supporting.
Marine related is marine dependent. Marine related would be yacht sales. Marine dependent would be like the boat yard or boat repair.
How is that?
No.
We have one of those.
So here, please, that's exactly what we want to hear from you today. So please put that on the flip chart for us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get a lot of this, again, just for the purpose, again, you'll be doing this exercise, which we want you to have multiple groups, because we'll be able, one of the advantages of having multiple groups is to hear if there are issues in common, ideas in common.
Wait, before we get started, wait. Hold on. Who's the whistler? It's not me. Okay, before we get started, before we get started, let me just finish up the instructions really quick. Before we get started, let me finish up our instructions just really quick. So we're going to take a half hour. Each table will have someone there to help kind of guide the conversations and listen. And after half an hour, we're going to ask each group to nominate a person from their group to report back. So we want everyone to share in the group, but the whole room to hear what other people see as those opportunities and challenges and dreams. So we're gonna be half hour from now, so a little after 8, we're going to ask people to start wrapping up and reporting back to us. Yes, ma'am.
Can we have a Newport Beach employee at each of our tables to listen so we can see if you can hear what we're saying? Because sometimes we say things and you hear it in different fashions. So we have a Newport Beach city planner person right here. And we're saying, and for instance, and I'm being cut and I apologize, we don't want traffic.
Do you also write that for us?
Yeah. We just need to know that you're...
Everybody is ready? Go!
I know
Right next to McDonald's.
I'm saying you said somebody's plan. What's this?
Well, I mean, what we have is a 2006 old general plan that we're talking
It's like Christmas confession. There's not enough So what we're going to do now is ask the spokesperson for each group bring their flip charts up here. So you put it on the wall. We'll hold up the map. Don't do it yet until I call the table. And then what we would like is to do. Hello, everybody. What we'd like each group to do. Hello, folks. What we'd like each group to do is to have a 3-minute summary, 3 to 4 minute summary. So while a lot of you have some great notes on here, give us the highlight version, because what we'll be doing is taking all this input, we'll be documenting it, recording it, etc. So if you don't hit every bullet item on your sheet, be confident that that will be documented and recorded for future use in our upcoming workshops. So I'm just going to start, because they're right here to my right, this table.
You, Tony.
Tony's our guy. All right, Tony. And bring your sheet up, and if somebody can bring up the mic, put up the I would do opportunities. Thank you. Introduce yourself to your neighbors.
Yeah, I'm Tony Valentine. I've grown up in Newport. I've gone to grade school here. I live in Cliff Haven, which is, you know, kind of a nicer part of Newport Heights, or a very nice part of Newport Heights. You know, I've been here for about 50 years. It's an incredible community. I think we have an amazing piece of property that can be a whole lot better than a piece of asphalt. So, our table. Next are opportunities. Opportunities. Moving the traffic signal off of Tustin to the Ardale area for pedestrian traffic, so pedestrians can have crossing down here, spreading the lights, and hopefully avoiding traffic. Pedestrian bridge at Tustin, allowing us to have a bridge to have pedestrian crossing over there, so we can get cross Coast Highway Tustin. We'd like to see a boardwalk across the bay, all the way down, so that people can walk along the bay, enjoy it, have restaurants on the other side of the boardwalk, and kind of have a really neat area where people can just walk all the way across the mile. It's super cool. Public docks. Get public docks added so that, you know, Duffy's, you know, general boats, handle boarders, whoever want to come, they can come over here, they can use public dock space, which there's not enough of. So we have a great opportunity to increase the public dock space, which is awesome. Subterranean parking. You know, it's very expensive to do it, but this property, you know, probably demands and warrants it. It would be an excellent way to park cars. It avoids, you know, parking issues. You can get tons of parking. You know, subterranean work is being done all the time in Newport now, so it's becoming more commonplace. It's safe. I've been a builder, so I've built lots of it. I only do residential. I would have nothing to do with this project. It's just not my forte. But we've done lots of subterranean parking on the bay.
And there's no advances out in the excavation field and in the construction field, so it's not a major hurdle like it was years ago. The common comes
So it'd be an excellent way to, to utilize parking where it's not, when the parking's all underground, it's out of sight, and there's tons of room to park cars. So those are some of the opportunities. The challenges. They'd like to see no landscaping. We'd like to see no landscaping on the median. We think that's kind of a traffic hazard, so that's just one of our concerns. We'd like to spread the signals, again, move the signal from Tustin down. That way it doesn't get so chewed up in that area, so maybe adjust the traffic signal again towards the Ardell property. Might be a smart thing to do. We like, the pedestrian crossings. We'd like to see, again, bridges in there to get people across those highways safely, make it easier for people to go from one side to the other. Again, our public docks are challenged because right now there's just not enough of them, period. We know the cost of subterranean parking is a challenge, but we feel definitely can be done to everybody's advantage. The giant empty parking lot is an asphalt jungle, it's an eyesore. A lot of people say it's great, I can see through I can see the water, but the bottom line is, it's probably one of the nicest pieces of property, in all of Newport Beach. And I'm not proud to have a big parking lot sitting here as I drive down Coast Highway. This property can be utilized so much better than all across here. When you go on the other side of Duffy, all the way up, it's just this big asphalt jungle, and it's just. This is our table. We'd like to maintain Newport architectural and the character of the city. The dreams that we have. Again, we really want to see a walkway or bridge. We really want to relocate lights. We want the boardwalk on the bay. We'd like to see restaurants on the other side of the boardwalk. People can sit out, eat, enjoy the bay, enjoy the water, and have people walking by. Again, we'd love to see the subterranean parking, though it's expensive, but it's really a great way to handle the parking. We'd like to see an innovative, multi-use architectural structure, something that's state-of-the-art. It's really going to bring value to the community. A lot of the architecture is old, it's run down. I grew up here, in the late 60s, and there were so many old, ugly architectural buildings here. And a lot of them have been torn down, redone, but the place has got a long way to go. So, something that's state-of-the-art, that's really neat, that's really well done, it's going to really enhance our community. It does nothing to bring value. I tell you. Thank you, I appreciate that. The last thing is, again, one of our dreams is a public marina area where people, it's not private, they can come in here and use the dock so that everybody can enjoy, the use of this new development. Thank you.
All right, table one.
Make mine look the light. We have somebody.
I was voted to
Chris, you get for table one? Dorothy. All right, Dorothy.
Okay, I'm going to start. Team one. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to start with challenges. Construction, traffic impact. Loss of parking equals loss of revenue and or business. Loss of business during construction, that's kind of duplicate. Turning a 1.5 miles into a 6-lane superhighway. Keeping traffic out of the neighborhoods like Newport Heights. Provision for emergency response with possibility of more traffic. How are you accommodating sea level rise with all the potential for what's happening around this area? And if we add housing, how will this traffic be accounted for? Are traffic studies being considered as part of the master plan? Dreams, again, as team 6 or whoever that was, pedestrian walkway along the water the whole way. Keep construction of any new development at 35 feet on both sides. Repave streets and leave it alone. Those are our dreams we identified. Opportunities similar to the prior team, pedestrian overpasses, city resources to help manage traffic, such as police personnel, reciprocal easement between property owners. Is that what that says? Better vegetation, palm trees, etc., islands between north-south bound. and sidewalks.
Okay, let's give her a great round. Orders are to be prepared here, 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 and go around the room that way. So this group.
Okay,
Peggy.
all right, Peggy.
All yours.
All right, I'm Peggy Palmer. I live up the hill here at Kings Road on the bay side. And right now, we have an empty lot below us, and we're waiting to find out what that empty lot's going to be. Hopefully, it's going to be part of the seed base and part of the sailing school and the overpass there. That's what we've heard. So with the opportunities from our group, we wanted some specialty centers, something that would define us, something that would be unique to Newport. Landscaping, we have palm trees along Pacific Coast Highway. However, if you're on the bluff, those palm trees block the view. So we like landscaping that would be predominantly low profile landscaping. Also walking spaces, I think that's been addressed by a few of the teams. The other thing with Pacific Coast Highway, we have an onflow of traffic from Avocado Building, Corona Del Mar, through Huntington Beach. We like to have synchronized traffic and that lights for a better flow, okay? At night, we've got the fire engines, we've got the ambulances, we have the motorcycles, we have the cars. We also have an additional amount of commercial trucks going to Newport Coast that start about 2 o'clock in the morning. Also light pollution, no additional lights. That's a big issue. I don't know if you know about the big lighthouse out there on the peninsula, but that takes an enormous amount of light pollution out there. We'd like to keep nautical architecture. We'd like to maintain our culture here in Newport Beach and not look like Huntington Beach. We'd like to have more parking maintained for the people and the residents and the visitors who come to Newport Beach. When I lived on the peninsula for 35 years, it just made me sick to see all these people from the Inland Empire coming to Newport Beach with their families excited. And by the time they got back to onto the parking on the peninsula, they were in road rage. And it was very, very, very sad. There was no parking whatsoever. The challenges that we see, no 6-lane lanes. It's bad for business. It's faster traffic. If you have faster traffic, it's bad. It's not going to be good for business. Also, what I'm seeing right now with the clogged arteries on Pacific Coast Highway, I'm seeing cars going up to Cliff Drive, going 100 miles an hour in the residential areas. I don't know if you know, but there was a little boy killed not too long ago up in this area by the schools. We have 3 schools there. We have Mariners Elementary, a junior high, and high school, and no sidewalks. We're very limited sidewalks. So I don't want to take this 6-lane of traffic and take it up to the heights. Another one, no fast food. I'm not talking distance from my house. Also, a concern of our group was do not remove street parking, but that goes against the gentleman here saying maybe underground parking. So parking seems to be an overall theme that's being carried out through here. Let's see. I think we're into dreams. Maintain current views, additional parking, especially for restaurant employees who park on our streets. Sidewalks in Newport Heights. An evacuation plan. Now that we're putting an enormous amount of people here on the peninsula, Banning Ranch is coming up. We've got 14 major projects in Newport Beach from Avocado all the way down to Banning Ranch area. That's a lot of people. We've already covered that. The other thing would be keep the nautical theme, a village-type atmosphere. Mariners Mile Park, where maybe the bicyclists could engage in riding their bikes and have a place that they can visit and take a deep breath and see having ghost bikes all over the city. And the other one is parking in a bridge across from the Orange Coast College. And that's our vision, dream, threats, challenges, and opportunities. Thank you.
I'll do it. I'll put them up first. Whoever's going to speak. Is that me?
Brad. All right, Brad. Number 4. All right, let's listen to Brad.
I'm going to start with our challenge. We kind of started with challenges at our table rather than dreams or opportunities. We think bicycle safety, and that's including the school kids as well as the through traffic bicycles. Because all of us guys on the peninsula who had to ride our bikes up to the Mariners, or to Horace Sunset or Harbor High School, had to go through that terrible traffic or the bicycle issue. Traffic load and speed. Don't increase the traffic load. It's bad enough as it is. Slow the traffic down. Negative impacts of auto dealerships. They make noise. They start up early. At least that's what our table is discussing. Maintain, or how do we maintain? That's the challenge. View and bay access. Parking. That's one of the challenges. I think it was right there on the last one. Keep PCH traffic on PCH. Whatever the solution, don't let this traffic go up and around the Tescher Street's back on the other side. No parking on PCH. It's counter to some of the other persons here. But if we can isolate parking and put it on the other side and create more parking, then we'll have Coast Highway that's safer going through and out all those small-ish parcels. Every 40 feet there's a driveway. So that's our challenge. Our dreams. Low landscape in the meetings. If we have parking subterranean or roof as in people up above in the heights, we look down and you can see just an elevated asphalt jump. A little louder, please. Sorry? Louder. I seldom get asked to speak loud. Pedestrian space, intimate places. Make places that we want to go. Stop at a bench, enjoy the sound of water. It might be here, it might be on that side too. Bike ride. We want a real safe bike. We don't want any additional residential. Keep the height limits. Am I reading somebody else's too? You heard that? Views to the bay, maximize. Shipyards, maintain. Nautical influence. Pedestrian bridge, but don't block the views with those pedestrian bridges. Opportunities? I think we're kind of running out of time. It looks like such a short list. We had at our table a discussion. People like the post office. They like a place where they can go and mingle and see their neighbors.
I like the post office.
I like Stacey Bone for the same reason I like the post office. Good restaurants. We actually love the restaurants here. I'd like to see more.
Yeah.
This group. Yeah, your man. Can you tell me? Hey, could someone bring the map up also?
We didn't put anything.
Sorry.
Oh, it's
For lots of
zero.
students. We'll have to talk to them before our next workshop.
Six. Okay, we have Nicole from table number 6.
Okay, so we started out with opportunities. No, I'm sorry, we started out with challenges. Go back there. And of course, everybody has mentioned parking, and that's the first thing on our list. Then there's traffic flow and speeds, which obviously a highway may increase speeds, but careful with speed limits. Bicycle and pedestrian use is important. Density limits is important so as not to add blocking views and adding too much housing. Public access views to the waterfront, so meaning that people can still see the waterfront, whether they're driving by or they're walking by.
Crossing the highway is definitely a challenge. Demand for marine-related usage versus auto-related usage, so that it's a good balance. Uses for the narrow lots is going to be a challenge. Access from water to land, in other words, public docks are needed so people can come from the water to the land. And the fragmented ownership of all these properties is a challenge. Opportunities. So, a bayfront boardwalk. And from what I understand, someone at our table said that it's high enough that there wouldn't be any problem with the ocean rising issue. Would be an increased usage would be an opportunity. Increased tax revenue for the city is an opportunity. Pedestrian bridges, and this is in plural. Obviously, those are expensive, as we know, the one from the park to the city hall. Inland parking structures. This was mentioned because not just parking lots, parking structure, and they could be put up where the lots are the widest. Maybe I have that under dreams, but it was mentioned the area between Coast Highway and I think it's Avon on Riverside Drive there, there's a huge parking lot. I don't know the issues with the property, but that was mentioned as a possible structure. And then, of course, cooperative land use among owners. Maybe there's some way we can get people to give easements or whatever's needed. Our dreams, of course, a boardwalk on the bayfront. We've heard this again several times. A pedestrian bridge from the Riverside Avon parking lot structure, so the traffic could go right over to the boardwalk where the restaurants and the shops and whatever else would be. Keep the bicycles off the highway. Put some kind of bike trail up against the bluffs behind some of those buildings before you wrap it back. I don't know how you would do that with the narrow lots, but it was suggested. And then someone mentioned the Ardell properties on the bay side will probably end up being mixed use, and on the land side, what's written down here, would probably be apartments. So that was somebody's they're not here. Free-flowing traffic obviously is a dream for everybody. Disabled persons, some kind of moving system or a system where disabled people can get around. Keep some marine usage, very important to a lot of people. This is a marine city. Parking structure on the land side, that's repetitive. Keep bay views for the drivers as well, so you don't just have like these little mini corridors for the people on the bluffs. People who drive like to know they're at the beach. Nautical architecture throughout. I have to say I added this when I heard you say that. I think it's pretty good, so it's one of my dreams. And keep to the height limits.
You're adding something. Hey! You could bring the map up.
My name is Russell Cook, and I have a property directly above I guess it's a Sun Country yacht parking lot overlooking the old Ardell lot, and actually in Don's house that he built in 1981. So all of this means a whole lot to us for sure, for me, myself, and our table. We had a really cynical table, by the way. All kind of challenges. I'll start off with dreams first. We kind of want to cut to the chase. If there's plans that are out there already and we can see them, let's go ahead and take a look at them. I mean, I think it's fair to say that a November timeline, we have a plan finalized with our input here.
Louder.
Could you talk to us?
I'm just talking about the plan. The plan is to have it finalized by November. And my thought is how can it be finalized by November? We have all this input, everybody here in the room. So there must be some plans somewhere that somebody's thinking about.
Yes.
Let's take a look at those. Let's just cut to the chase. There's no reason for us to kind of go through the exercise of futility, I think. This was a little bit cynical. Restore Balboa Bay Club to public parking.
Then I can talk about implementation. We need to be here.
I'll go with opportunities, and then we'll spend some time on the stuff that I think really matters to us. Open up the harbor views wherever possible, so that if there is some mixed use, if there is some buildings that are on the water side, let's at least enjoy the water in between the buildings, and so we can maintain that. Overall beautification, obviously, I mean, somebody brought it up over here, I think. These are buildings that were built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So most of them are, they're not the best looking. So the opportunity is that we can have a better looking stretch of 1.5 miles of Mariners Mile. Get rid of fast food restaurants, somebody put up here. I guess that's, more of a owner developer kind of scenario. And condos instead of apartments. Maybe there's less density in that area. The challenges. So we all went through the PCH, the sewer line being put in, and us being shut down for a couple of years. If you talk to any of the business owners along PCH, it was horrible. And so put some of them out of business. So I think that the traffic during that construction period that's really, really important. I live on the cliff, and so what happens when you put construction on PCH, people take Dover, they cut across the cliff, and then they drive down 70 miles an hour down the cliff. And it's not a great scenario. So whatever the plan is, and once that construction starts, to have whatever that traffic pattern flow might be, to have that perfected. Some people are talking about when you're on Kings and below, you have rooftop parking now for the Porsche dealer, I guess is going to be there. And so that becomes an unsightly scenario. So you go from the top of a kind of a dilapidated building, but now you're looking at cars and rooftop lights and things like that. Noise obviously is a big deal for those who are on Kings, less for me because I'm back a little bit, but obviously the noise of the construction and the additional traffic. My biggest thing is views. So right now what I have is I've got an unobstructed view of a harbor. You see, the crewers and the rowers in the morning. And so my concern is I'm going to lose that view during 5 or 6 years of construction, and so that might be another challenge. I think I got overall beautification. Anyway, I think it's a lot of challenges for us, and of course it's a timing issue. Thank you.
So I just want to thank you all for coming again. My name is Makana Nova. I'm serving as the project contact for the Mariners Mile Revitalization Plan. So please feel free to come ask me questions. My cards are up front over here. If you'd like to be added to our email contact list, we did collect your emails at signing. If you want to be included on that list, just stop by and start by your name, because I know not everyone maybe wants to be included on that list, even though you signed in. So just stop by on your way out, put a star next to your name, and I'll make sure you're added for contact. Yes?
This is from the table, it's a little bit simple. And I don't want to be overly optimistic, but if you lived in Newport long enough, as some of us have, you remember that there was a very large highway going to go through here and divide the city in half. And we beat that sucker back. And we didn't divide the city in half. And we won that battle. And we can win this one too. But we can't. We can only do it if people in the city who count are listening, and that we can make it stick. And if we can't, we'll get the best attorney we can get.
Right on. We are actually taking your input, so please, thank you for coming. Thank you for adding your input. We are working on
just one reminder, our next workshop, you've heard, you've given us input on all this.
So we've been looking at setting our next workshop. We have a lot of existing studies and plans that have been done in the past. So now we're going to be incorporating your feedback in the next month or two. And our next community meeting we're looking at doing in mid-September or so. We don't have an exact date set yet, so I will be sending out an email blast to the contact list. Another flyer will go out once we schedule that date. So thank you again for coming.
Yeah, question. Can the public request another gathering outside of the public scheduled public workshops with the consultant, with you? If I wanted to have a coffee in my house, because I feel like not all our questions were answered.
I mean, I am available for email, and we are looking at doing some stakeholder meetings.
Okay.
With residents are definitely part of that community.
Oh, okay, so I just saw public workshops. So
these are the main public workshops that we're having. We are also looking at some of the main designated property owners and working with them since they have a lot of input and control over the area because they own property.
Can you also make it where there might be more parking, like parking here, and I'm sure people have involved.
Would you prefer City Hall?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Thank you for the input, and we'll definitely consider that then for the next.
Can you please tell us if the Porsche dealership is already approved down there?
It is not, it is an applied application. I think they'll be going to hearing in the fall.
Planning or the city council?
Planning commission. The date is AutoNation.
The 18th of August. Yeah, AutoNation is scheduled for the 18th of August. It's going to be a really heavy meeting, so we might push that back 2 weeks. That's
Planning commission.
You mean planning commission? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole question.
You mean you might make it later?
August 18th?
August 18th, planning commission.
Not
That's
fall.
Right next to Mariners Point.
but yeah, but
Talking about the automation project. Porsche dealership, same thing.
yeah, I'm sorry. Porsche AutoNation, same thing in my mind. So I.
So we have an applied application to relocate the existing Porsche dealership to the properties next door to the Mariners Point property. So just heads up, that is coming in August. That's the request from the property.
Is it going to be as ugly as Mariners Mile?
We will please.
Keep it not a that's that whole subterranean urban property.
Jim Campbell is the primary planner for that project, so he's here if you have questions about that. Anyone else have questions about Mariners?
Can I make it not? I don't know.
Could you email us an overview of the plans, the existing plans that you already have for the Mariners Mile?
Certainly, we are planning.
So that we can look at it?
We are planning to put the PowerPoint presentation on the website. If you haven't seen the website, there is a website for this project online on the city's website, and we'll put the PowerPoint up there. That includes the general plan vision, it includes the general plan. We can make sure we include the zoning and the general plan maps.
We can add the references to pages of the general plan.
So that we can see where the condos and the apartments and the homes that you're planning to build.
It's all online. We need specific pages.
We'll get some more information.
We'll use properties designated so that we can pick out where the possible hotels, condos, and apartments.
We're getting something showing applied applications and future proposals up for you so that you can better understand what current applications we have.
Because we all get a little nervous when you say mixed use and apartments and condos, and then we think, oh God, hotels are going to slide in. So we would be more trusting if we could see where you might have those.
For some of these, we don't have actual applications in. Maybe we haven't gotten an application from property owner, but they'd be